How we doing?
Let's go.
Much.
That thing's hurting, huh? Or is it doing that because it's growing? No, I should have got a biology degree. I mean, I shouldn't have done that bad. That sucks is they make you pick one discipline. What's the truth? I wish I had time to learn about all the stuff that interests me. I still try to learn about all the things that interest me, but I just don't put the required legwork in. Hours of equations, reading tons of papers, trying to commit it to memory. So I always have a survey level knowledge of a subject, but never an in-depth. And I catch myself trying to stare at the stuff that interests me around here, and I miss sight of the bullshit. And yesterday with the dog, that was the bullshit. You're just trying to live your life. You're just trying to enjoy the scenery. Hell, I'm sitting there trying to talk about the new camera I got, and some asshole can't be bothered to keep that poor dog in check. Next thing you know, I'm bit. I'm sitting there talking about, oh, I guess I gotta go get a ribby shot on Monday. Or whenever. Wow, that's... okay. I forget what her name is, but she comes down my street. She talks to one of my neighbors. Okay, he's still alive. There we go. Well, he was lying on his side like that. I was like, oh crap. She's got plenty of water for him. It's just that Huskies and Dallas don't mix. But I think that other one's a chow. And you can almost see a tale of two a tale of two locations. Just the day before that, I was going to a dental appointment on Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? Yeah, I went to a dental appointment on Wednesday. And it wasn't 2 days, it was one, it wasn't 1 day, it was 2 days. So you see me on one of my videos going all over the place on Wednesday. And the people are walking the dog, and the dog's looking at me, and he's sniffing around, and it's like, well-behaved dog. Well cared for dog. And then 2 days later, wandering around minding my own, and all of a sudden this damn thing comes out of nowhere and decides it wants to get a little back attack. Like Cedric the what was it? No, like was it Cedric the Entertainer, or was it Witherspoon? No, that was Cedric the Entertainer talking about he wanted some Anus Africanus. That was the movie Intolerable Cruelty. He was Gus Bitch. He wanted some Anus Africanus. Was mad that I didn't accommodate him. So anyway, there's the new camera. Apparently it turned into an evidence catching machine. While I was sitting there waiting around with the fire department for the police to show up, the damn thing conked out on me. It had it overheated. This is with the battery, so I got the battery pulled out of this thing, recording 4K video, even though it's supposed to do 5.3K and all that other, you know, everybody has their Ks, but it's 4K. It was lower resolution. Yes, I was filming 60 frames a second. Yes, I was filming 60 frames a second. Okay. That's all I've ever wanted, man. Be able to come down here. Look at that, man. The canal is flowing. It's pretty. You know, your kids can go through here and mess around with the the runoff, pollution runoff, and the what do you call that stuff? The algae. Like when I was a kid, I did all that stuff. We would walk around these things, exploring it, because we were like explorers going into caves. We never thought, hey, we were getting exposed to the itchy algae and E. coli and some kind of pollution runoff. None of that even entered our mind. We didn't know anything about that. Nobody tells kids about that. And you can either be scared to interact with the world, or you can just take it like as it is, as it comes. And so that kind of points into the whole political spectrum, where I can understand where guys like RFK and everybody else is coming from, where they think, you know, we've had, I don't know if he's a believer or not, I'm not, but they believe that, you know, God made people to survive all of the stuff that could happen, or at least, you know, in their once again survey level understanding of biology, they think we've got this really powerful, robust immune system, might as well use it and expose it to everything. And you don't need to put all of those vaccines and medicines into your body, because they just mess things up. And it's being half right, and unfortunately being half right means full dead. I can understand where you're coming from, but you need to come a little bit, like I said, you need to follow that premise through. I'm getting vaccinated from a lot of different things, and now rabies. And I might make it a regular thing. I might just start, you know, just paying out of pocket for a rabies shot every 3 years, because I'm going to be walking around here. There's always the possibility that something could happen. I don't think the dog had rabies. From what I've been, like I said, I've been bitten many times. And I never, you know, I never go and get the shot because I'm like, eh. I always ask them, well, you think I should get it? And they're like, eh. 15 years ago I got bit and the lady said, well, we haven't had rabies, and I'm wondering if I was wearing it going to the RFK crowd, but I wasn't foaming their mouth and I'm still here. So she said, oh, we haven't had rabies in Dallas County, or a case of rabies in Dallas County since the 1950s. And what she meant to say was in dogs. And to the animal control's credit, that's, like I said, that was one department. You saw the fire department got there quick. You didn't see, but the animal control guy got there quick too. And they're understaffed. They're running all around the city, and even they could get there. They could be bothered to take care of what happened to me. But you did not see DPD. You will never see DPD. They don't exist. Unless they want to come down on you and harass you. You know, try to say something nicer. Try not to say anything at all. But they're not here. They're just not here. And they said, well, you're not getting attacked, so we must be doing something right. And I was like, I'm mostly thinking I'm not getting attacked just because I'm not getting attacked. It has nothing to do with the fact that you guys are pretending to take care of things. There are good cops. I have videos of good cops. If you bother to look. Unfortunately, I also have a couple of videos of bad cops. You know, the sad thing is it almost seems like it balances out. And I wish I could find it. I wish I had it for people. I don't know if I actually recorded it or not. I'm struggling to find it. There's a video somewhere of me running on Watauga, and a cop asked to take a selfie with me. It was one of the most funny moments I've ever had. I'm thinking, oh my God, here we go. He's gonna harass me. What the hell? You know, I'm just running wild black, man. And you get that mentality in your head because you hear it in the media, you hear it from other people. I've had a couple of cases myself of DWV, and I was like, is this how it's gonna end? And I was like, hey man, we see you all the time, and it was something positive. There's one video somewhere of me walking down, Rosa going into Durango, and the guy's over their side, and he says, hey, what happened to your hat? And I said, oh, I don't wear it all the time. He said, that's kind of your signature. He was letting me know, hey, we've been watching you, and you know, we like what we see. And I was like, cool. All I gotta say to the DPD, all the other community people say the same thing. Help us. Help us help you. We're not your enemies. We're not even trying to be your bosses. We're just trying to get you to care about the neighborhood like we care about the neighborhood. Isn't that why you got into this job? You said, man, I can make a difference. If you did it just to get a paycheck, you're in the wrong line of work, man. There's easier ways to make a buck. If you did it for the power trip, you need to get another job. There's always politics. And to all the good cops out there, keep fighting. We see what you do. We acknowledge and we appreciate it. Not to be sitting here just getting all bad on bad cops. Like I said, we see the stuff you take care of. There was a time I wrecked out in my car in 2011. This cop was super helpful. Got me a tow truck. We had to wait there a while because, you know, it's Dallas. Just like yesterday, Mom's like, go to the ER, get you a shot. I go to work and I say, hey, how long would it take me to go get this shot? And he said, well, there's 19 people ahead of you. And I was like, okay, yeah, no. You take 19 and you multiply that by 4, and that's how long I'd have been in the ER. Because it's not critical. I'm sitting here panicking. I was like, oh my God, what are the rabies gets to me right away? And I was like, no, if the dog was rabid or had the vaccine or had the virus in the system, it bit you on the finger, an extremity that's probably one of the furthest away from the brain, and it's going to take months for this damn thing to travel through your nervous system. You got time. Had I got bitten in the neck, had I got bitten in any other place where there's blood flow directly to the brain, I'd be a goner. But I got lucky where I got bit on a finger. Not only did I get bit on the finger, but I looked at I keep looking at the latex glove, and there's no puncture wound. There's no puncture hole. I just had this weird experience where I guess it bit down hard enough to where it caused, they call it a crush injury. And I think it's a crush injury. We'll see. I'm gonna get the vaccine. We'll see what happens with the, I don't know, there's not gonna be an investigation. there's a lot of things running through my head right now. Ah, so that's the guy. Okay. Sometimes I think I should go say hello, but a red flag goes off in my head. Well, we're getting into the portion of the year where it's not fun to walk. This is where you figure out what you're made out of. And as I get older, this gets harder. When I was younger, I'd be running between the things, and the funny thing is I'm wearing more weight than I did when I was younger. I'm lighter, there's less fat, but there's more gear. So it's like I'm walking with a weighted vest. Only this is a weighted vest that has a useful purpose. I realized that yesterday when I was jogging. I was like, yes, it was also that I was out of shape and hadn't run in a long time, but it was also, I had so much gear that trying to get it all tied down and keep a pace going was hard. Something I got to work on, I guess. Like I'm wearing a camera that is such a albatross when it comes to the capitalism that produced it. Here's the thing, that I can't put the battery into it, because if I do, it'll heat up and conk out the unit. They swear up and down, well, we took the GPS out of this that's what I was trying to say yesterday before the stupid dog bit me, was that this thing doesn't have GPS on it. They said they did that to keep it from overheating, and yet the damn thing's still overheated. So obviously somebody's lying. Maybe if I record in 1080p it won't overheat. But I mean, I bought a 4K camera. I want to film in 4K. Plus, after working with a Ray's camera last week, I can't go back to 1080p. It's going to take me longer to process the videos. I accept that. Maybe I'll invest in a Threadripper CPU. I just know that I'm wearing out my 4 little boxes, my little mini PCs. It takes them about, 4 to 6 hours to process video. Now, if I use hardware acceleration, it doesn't take that long, because all of my mini PCs are APUs, and then the graphics cards on them are pretty badass. I didn't realize it until I started processing video. But the problem is that damn H264 container. I got bit here. I think it was that house. They had a bunch of Chihuahuas that came out. There's probably different people living there now. But the Chihuahuas came out, and I'm trying to ignore them, and all of a sudden one of them decided he wanted to prove that he was the pack leader, so he nipped me on the ankle. I go over there and I knock on the guy's door and I say, hey, your dog bit me. He said, calm down, man. I just looked at him and was like, that's not the right attitude to have. I got that on video too. pretty sure that's in one of my, yeah, I think it's in one of my videos. It's one of my earliest videos. Did I cut him out? No, I was mad. I left him in. Didn't get a rabies shot. Anyway, what was I saying about the camera? I was trying to point out that 4K video takes a long time. No, the 264 container. Thank you, brain, for helping me doing 5 things at once: monitoring things, and then trying to talk, and then trying to recall. But the H624 container creates these huge 4K files. You know, they look good, but the problem is that they're huge. And so that's the sacrifice I would make. You can have it fast, but you can't have it small. And I have all AMD processors. So what I'm looking for is the VOPI H624 encoder. I'm looking for a VOPI H265 encoder. And they say one exists. I was like, then why isn't it showing up in Kdenlive? And they said, well, you got to run this script. And I was like, ugh. And every time somebody does stuff like that, I just cringe, because it's time. It takes time, because I have to sit there and learn how to use the script. Some guy puts it in a certain thing, I got to write it in. If I'm lucky, some guy has a tutorial that's pretty close to what I'm looking for, and I can modify it a little bit, and I can run the script that way. That's why I was going to put GPS overlay on my videos. And then what wound up happening was I could use the command line stuff, and you got to sit there and write an XML and put the script together, and this is how you want it to look. And I was like, there's no GUI version? No. So you have to like imagine. That's the problem with command line. Doesn't really work with graphical things like that. You can't imagine this in your head, or you can. And they say, okay, this is the position this got to go, that's the position that's got to go. And they put everything in pixels. You know, TWIPs. Total width in pixels. And so you got to hope that what you're putting down in TWIPs works on your 4K resolution. But the coordinates look like they were made for in the example were made for 1920 by 1080. Might not work. Might look weird. Anyway, rather than you putting it up on your graphical user interface and saying, okay, let's go ahead and move this up here, move this down here with the drag of a mouse. Command line had its purpose and it had its day, but you can't keep using command line. You got to get visual eventually. So I'm about to relent and just, so my choices are either plunk down $299 to get something that I rarely use, or find the elusive free time that I don't have to learn how to run a script with XML. These are the joys that Windows users will never experience. Like, the reason I like Kdenlive is all Kdenlive is just a graphical user interface that helps you work with something called MLT. I think it's called MLT. You know, you sit there and you put it together in a graphical interface, and then on the back end what it does is it builds these scripts and MLT and FFmpeg, and it runs them for you. I know this because sometimes I'll start a render and Kdenlive is so buggy it crashes a lot, so mine just crashed, but the script is still running. The script will run independent of Kdenlive. Kdenlive is just a graphical front end that helps you put your order in, and once you put your order in and execute it, you don't need Kdenlive anymore. It's not dependent on it. That's the beauty of Linux also, is that you can have something running independent of something else, and every once in a while get something to interact with it. a lot of processes are independent. This is going pretty fast. Anyway, that's what it takes to put videos together if you got a little free time. My whole thing is, what's eating up my free time is rendering, posting, commenting, and then every once in a while you see something that you need to create a 311 ticket on. It's like a part-time job, and you already got a full-time job. And on top of that, exercising, which is another part-time job. If it wasn't for a home gym, I wouldn't have any. I really wouldn't have any time. I do not miss having to drive all the way over to commercial gym to share broken equipment with idiots, and then being forced to watch CNN on a treadmill. Or that was kind of how I got caught up with pop culture. Was you'd have to watch whatever they had on the treadmills at the gym. So you're going to be watching part of the interruption. Look at it. Look at you. Oh. Cute dog. You love dogs? I'm not made of stone, like I said. I don't hate pets. I hate that people make these animals that are dependent on human beings and who aren't well suited to living in a human world or a human civilization. Everybody thinks their dog's tamed, but if civilization were to collapse, you start finding out what your dog's really about. I was like, they're just with you because there's food. You fail to provide their needs, they'll turn on you just like anything else. Any wild creature. The dog didn't spend 12 years in school. The dog doesn't learn, from mismanners or watch videos about how to act in polite society. But then again, some people don't either. We've got feral people. But I guess you've seen some of my videos, you already know that. Folks that say, you know what, I'm cold, I'm bored. Let me go ahead and start setting a fire in the middle of the street or park, or it's like you can't do that. Let me just drop trow and go to the bathroom here. Here's as good as any other place. Sometimes I envy them. There were times where I'd be on a walk and I had to pee, and I'm over here. I was like, I got all of nature to urinate in, but that would be considered a crime. So I have to sit there and try to find the designated areas. And you get mad until you realize the way you think, there's 1,000 idiots that also think the same way. That's why you don't, whip it out and urinate in public, because 1,000 other people can whip it out and urinate in public. And the next thing you know, you've got a health problem where, people are peeing in a certain area and it rains and it runs off into something and it creates infections in other people. Civilizations or cities are such a delicate balance that just the slightest thing can throw them off. Let the squirrel population get out of control. Suddenly squirrels are catching a bunch of diseases that get passed on to humans, or they're causing property damage. You see this cute creature with a big tail that's fun to watch. What you don't see is the thing that's chewing on your wires, chewing on your on the side panels of your house, and making a nest in your attic, tearing up the insulation and wiring. Squirrels can probably be wonderful out in the wild, but in a city or in a city environment, they're a nuisance. I think about one pet that would be okay if we can get the whole disease thing down, and that would be rodents. I take that back. Once again, I was talking about squirrels. They chew on stuff. Rodents might be the one creature that is simpatico with us when it comes to civilization. You might be able to teach a rodent, hey, it's not just about you. You have to learn how to get along in the thing. You can train them not to chew on, or only chew on the designated things, but pee in the designated spots. I think a rodent's the only creature that thinks of you as an equal. When I say rodent, I mean like mice and rats. I think they're smart enough to where we can reach a pretty good understanding with them. That's saying quite a bit though, isn't it? Yeah. There's a reason why we're going to use the term rat bucket. Rat mess you over just as much as any other creature. Something changed here. I don't think I did this last week. I did some variation on it. What I'm realizing is that if you got a routine in your life, you're lucky. Routines are hard to come by. And for long stretches, you see me trying to have a certain pattern. I come by a certain day and I go to this one and this is my route. And all that gets thrown off. Yesterday was a prime example. Yesterday I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna go down and Mixon. We're gonna see what's going on. We're gonna get 4K video. I think the neighborhood looks nice now. And I can't even get a block past my own house. And the chaos reminds me, hey, this area is still a fucked up mess. It's irritating. Back to the scene of where it all happened, yeah. I'm not certain that the dog is part of that house. I just know that it was comfortably sitting there. I don't know. That might have been somebody else's dog that wanders the neighborhood, and that was just one of the houses that felt. I don't know. All I can do is report where I got bit and where the location was, and if I use Occam's razor, there's a very good chance that those people were taking care of that dog. Not properly, but were taking care of it. There's always something going on here. Bounce castle. Okay, well, all right. But this is right over here. I mean, completely changed. It wouldn't change the paint scheme, the paneling. It was a yellow house, and now it's something completely different. Are they renting it out? Are they selling it? What's going on with that? One of my co-workers was showing me his house in Plano, and the streets are brand new, and the curbs are nice. These are in a rental house. And then I come down here and I look at the sunken, broken pothole mess. Sidewalks that are all off. I'm just trying to piece it together in my head. Well, somebody must be staying there though, because they got there's like not mail spilling out of it. I don't know, man. Now I get the feeling that that was somebody's. It came from another house, and he was used to being out on the porch over there. But like I said, it doesn't explain why didn't he fight me anywhere else? Just that house. And as soon as I was in the street, I didn't realize at the time, but as soon as I was in the street, he just kind of laid off for a second. See, like that house, the mail's piling up because nobody, you know, they're selling this house. It's gonna bug you. Yeah, it's gonna bug you.